Margaret, my wife, is 71. She has Alzheimer's disease. She was a very active, lively, sociable woman, interested in travel, an avid reader. She was very interested in the world. She was very well educated. She has a BA and an MA in English, one from Stanford, the other from San Jose State in California. After finishing her MA, she went to India on a Fulbright scholarship and spent a year in India. After the year in India, she went to Germany for a year, where she worked and learned to speak German fluently. She came back to North America, came to Vancouver. We were married, and she started her career as a teacher. She taught at both the university and the college level. At the same time, she was a devoted and loving wife and mother. She was always very close to her friends. She loved to travel. She started to develop symptoms of Alzheimer's about 8 or 9 years ago. The progress of the disease initially was relatively slow, and I was able to look after her as her sole caregiver. The disease took the usual sort of progress. First of all, a loss of orientation, then a loss of speech patterns, a loss of memory, so that she got lost very easily, lost things around the house. She eventually lost her interest in reading, I presume because she couldn't remember what she read. It was a devastating disease from that point of view, I think, both for her and for me, knowing how lively and intelligent and involved she had been. I was able to look after her very well, I think. Perhaps I was reluctant to turn her over to somebody else because I thought they couldn't look after her as well as I could. In the last 2 years, before she went into care, she went to a seniors drop-in centre 4 mornings a week, which she enjoyed. It gave her a social life outside being involved with me all the time, and it gave me the necessary time to myself. And then in March of last year, she underwent a precipitous change in behaviour, and she could no longer go to the drop-in centre, and it was clear that I could no longer look after her myself. And that's when she was taken into care and went to Parkview. Before she went into care, I was very fearful, both for Margaret and myself, because I'd heard stories of what care could be like, and I wasn't sure how Margaret would adapt to care. And I was also fearful that I wouldn't be able to adapt very well because of what might happen to her. But Parkview was an eye-opening experience because it was very clear that the care was totally family-centered. By that I mean that the care was for Margaret, to help her to adapt to being in care, to her loss of what independence she had left, and also for me to help to adapt to seeing her there, to seeing the care she was getting. And I must say that that was a very positive experience for me. I'm sure it was for Margaret, but she can't say, of course. The staff, the physicians emphasized from the beginning that I had to look after myself, and I think they went out of their way to emphasize that, to make it easy for me to feel that I wasn't giving Margaret up, that this was an inevitable course of events, and that they would help me to adapt and deal with these very significant changes in both our lives.